Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and today we're looking at the Borealis Olisipo. I could totally be pronouncing that wrong as I do not speak Portuguese, and Olisipo is a city in Portugal. I did not know that. I had to look it up, of course, but there's that disclaimer. So this is a random Rob tour watch. As you can see, it has an orange dial, and it is a textured orange dial. You see it there in the light. I do appreciate textured dials. I think it takes a little more, manufacturing to have a textured dial than just a plain flat dial. So this is one more disclaimer. This is a prototype, so if you see some things that are a little off on it, just bear in mind this is a prototype. So it does have a ceramic bezel insert. It is 316L stainless steel all around. Let me get this set back to the correct position. The alignment is a little off on this, but again, it's a prototype. As you can see from the smooth sweep there, it is 8 beats per second. It has the Miyota 9016 movement, which I do appreciate that movement. I prefer it more so than the Seiko NH35, just because watches with that movement are typically thinner than watches with the NH35 or 36 movement. So the price on this is about $400. Borealis does the pre-order where you pay half up front, and then a couple or a few months later you pay the rest, and then they ship it to you. So this one is about $400 total, which they are all out of stock right now. So this is a 300 meter dive watch, which is vintage inspired. The size is smaller than typical dive watches today, which I do appreciate since I have a smaller wrist. The size on this is 40 millimeter diameter, 47 millimeter lug tip to lug tip. It does have the drilled lugs here. The thickness on this is 12 millimeter. Your typical Seiko is about 13 and a half. Here's a SKX for reference. So the SKX is 42 millimeter diameter, and I think lug to lug on this is 46. So it's just a little bit smaller, but it looks quite a bit smaller actually. This is a great size for a dive watch. And lug width on this is 20 versus more typical 22 for your little bit larger dive watches. I really like this bracelet as well. I would call this a President style bracelet, similar to the Rolex President bracelet. Solid end links. The case back does have engraving on it there. Let me open the clasp. Milled clasp. This portion is stamped, but the in-between pieces are milled. So on the back here it says Borealis Watch Co. Olisipo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Automatic Miyota 9015. And 300 meter. Looks like some kind of, I guess that would be a mermaid there in the case back. So the ceramic bezel insert is loomed, as well as the indices and hands, and that is the loom is manufactured by RC Tritech, and it is Super Loom BGW9. This is a flat sapphire crystal with AR coating on the underside. See if I can, I don't know if the AR coating's colored necessarily. So, of course it does have a screw down crown. One of my complaints is the screw down crown is a little small. This I measured at 5.9 millimeter. I prefer crowns a little closer to, say, 7mm. So it is a hacking and hand winding movement. When you pull the crown all the way out, it stops the second hand. That's what's called hacking. And hand wind is you can wind up the mainspring to increase the power reserve on this. I'll show you the Seiko SKX crown for comparison. This has a 7mm crown. It may seem like a small thing, but it does make a big difference. Oh, and as you can see, the crown on this is engraved, which is a nice touch. Not on the SKX, obviously, but on the Borealis. I do like this case shape. It reminds me of course, of a vintage diver. It has a nice bevel to it. Kind of like twist over a little bit. Not like an Omega, but somewhat like that. It does have a coin edge bezel. Another thing that I like about this watch is it has the female end links. If I have an example of male end links here. Let's see, what do I have on my desk? Okay, here, this has male end links where the center of the end link protrudes out farther than the lugs. This one here is a female end link, and that works out well for a smaller wrist, so it gets the bracelet bending down quicker than with the fixed end links, the fixed center of the end links, which sticks out farther. So let me get this on wrist. I'll show you some wrist shots while I'm talking here. So again, I have a 6.5-inch wrist with 52mm wrist span, and lug to lug on this is 47 from the case, and then with this center link it's about 48mm, actually 48.2mm. I measured with my calipers. I also like the 4 o'clock crown position, and I do actually like, I more prefer the look of these vintage dive watches and other dive watches without the crown guards. Here's a crown guard example. So just looks a little cleaner to me. Let me zoom out here. So I think this is a very good size for my wrist. So I will pause the video and come back with a loom shot here. All right, so on the left we have Casio Duro. In the middle, of course, is the Borealis Olisipo. And then on the right we have the Seiko SKX 009. The Duro, of course, has the worst loom by eye here. And then it's tough to call between the Borealis and the SKX. I actually think the Borealis is brighter. It's more of a blue color versus the greenish color on the SKX, but it's holding up pretty good. The bezel is dying down on the Borealis, but the hands and indices are nice and bright. So as always, thank you for watching, and if you could please subscribe if you haven't, I would greatly appreciate it. Till next time, bye.